I was halfway through packing my suitcase when Mom's text came through. "Can you come downstairs? We need to talk." The kind of text that makes your stomach drop. The kind that means something's already happened, already decided, and you're just being informed. I found her in the kitchen, hands wrapped around a coffee mug like she needed something to hold on to. Dad sat at the table, wouldn't meet my eyes. And there was my brother Ryan, 21 years old, leaning against the counter with that expression I'd seen 1,000 times before, the one that said he was about to get everything he wanted, again. "We gave Ryan your grandmother's ring," Mom said. No preamble, no apology in her voice. Just a statement of fact, like she was telling me they'd repainted the guest room. I felt the floor tilt, but I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood there, suitcase still in my hand, and watched my mother take a sip of her coffee. "What?" The word came out flat. "For his proposal. Ashley's been hinting, and we thought, that was mine." I set the suitcase down carefully. "Grandma gave that to me. She put it in my hand when I was 16 and said, 'This is yours, Mackenzie, for when you're ready.'" Ryan shifted his weight. "Come on, Kenz. It's not like you're even dating anyone, and Ashley and I have been together for 8 months. It's serious," Mom interjected. "And you know how important it is to Ryan. He's ready to settle down, start a family. I'm 28 years old. He's 21. Age doesn't matter when it's real love." Dad finally spoke, and I almost laughed. Almost. Ryan had always been the center of their universe, the surprise baby who came along when I was 7, who needed more attention, more patience, more everything. I understood that when we were kids. I really did. He was younger. He needed them more. But somewhere along the way, he needs us more became he matters more. I was the one who got straight A's without being asked, who worked 2 jobs through college to minimize their burden, who called every Sunday and came home for every holiday, even when I had to drive 6 hours from Chicago. Ryan dropped out of community college after 1 semester, moved back home, worked part-time at Dad's friend's gym, and they praised him for finding his path and taking his time to figure things out. When I got promoted to senior art director at my firm, Mom said, "That's nice, honey," and spent the rest of the call talking about Ryan's new girlfriend. But the ring, that was supposed to be mine. "Grandma specifically," I started. "Grandma isn't here anymore. Mom cut me off, and her voice had an edge now, and Ryan needs it now. You can have something else when the time comes." "When the time comes," I repeated, like it's a consolation prize. Ashley appeared in the doorway then, my grandmother's ring already on her finger. She had that same look Ryan did, pleased with herself, slightly smug, like she'd won something. "Mackenzie!" She came toward me, hand extended so I could admire it properly. "Isn't it gorgeous? Ryan said it's been in the family for 3 generations. I feel so honored to be part of that legacy." I looked at the ring, the small diamond set in white gold, worn smooth by my great-grandmother's hands, then my grandmother's. I'd tried it on once when I was 16, and Grandma had smiled and said, "Perfect fit, like it was waiting for you." "Yeah," I managed, honored. "We're thinking spring wedding," Ashley continued, oblivious or uncaring. "Nothing too big, maybe 100 people. Your mom said you might be able to help with the design, since you're so creative." I looked at my mother, who had the grace to look away. "I have to go," I said. "I have a meeting tomorrow morning." "You just got here," Dad protested weakly. "I know." I picked up my suitcase, walked out to my car, and drove back to Chicago. 6 hours through the dark, my grandmother's voice in my head. "This is yours, Mackenzie." The next morning, I couldn't focus on the campaign pitch I was supposed to be leading. I kept seeing Ashley's hand, my ring on her finger. The way Mom had said, "Grandma isn't here anymore," like that made it okay to override her wishes. I called my aunt, my dad's sister. She picked up on the second ring. "Aunt Claire, it's Mackenzie. Can I ask you something about Grandma's ring?" There was a pause. "What about it?" "Did you know Mom and Dad gave it to Ryan? For his girlfriend?" "They what?" Her voice went sharp. "That ring was specifically left to you. It was in her will. I watched her write it. My hands went cold." "What?" "Your grandmother's will. She left that ring to you explicitly. I have a copy of it somewhere. I helped her organize all her paperwork before she passed. Mackenzie, that ring is legally yours." I sat down hard in my desk chair. Mom said. She made it sound like it was just a family heirloom they could give to whoever. No, absolutely not. That ring was part of her estate, and she was very clear about wanting you to have it. Said you were the one who sat with her, who listened to her stories about great-grandma wearing it, who cared about the history, not just the jewelry. Something clicked in my mind. Aunt Claire, did Grandma leave anything else specifically to me? Another pause, longer this time. You should come over. I'll find those documents. I left work early, claimed a migraine that wasn't far from the truth. Aunt Claire lived in a townhouse 40 minutes north, and by the time I got there, she had papers spread across her dining room table. Sit down, she said gently, and prepare yourself. My grandmother's will was straightforward. The ring to me, her wedding china to Aunt Claire, her books to the library, and a savings bond matured worth approximately $30,000. To Mackenzie Harper, my beloved granddaughter, for her future. I never got this, I whispered. Your parents were the executors, Aunt Claire said quietly. I assumed they'd distributed everything according to her wishes. The bond would have matured about 3 years ago. 3 years ago. Right when Ryan had dropped out of school and moved back home. Right when he'd bought that used BMW he was so proud of. They took it, I said. They took it and they never told me. Aunt Claire's face was grim. I can't prove that, but I have copies of everything here. And if you want to pursue this, I want my ring back first. She nodded. I'll email you these documents. You'll need them. The drive back to my parents' house the next day was different. I wasn't sad anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was clear. I arrived at 11 on a Saturday morning when I knew they'd all be home. Let myself in with my key. They were in the living room, Mom, Dad, Ryan, and Ashley, looking at wedding venues on a laptop. Mackenzie. Mom stood up, surprised. We weren't expecting you. I need to talk to all of you. I set my bag down on the coffee table. About Grandma's ring, and some other things. Ryan groaned. Not this again. Can't you just be happy for me? The ring was left to me in Grandma's will, I said calmly. Specifically, by name. It's not a family heirloom to distribute. It's mine. Mom's face went pale. That's not. I have a copy of the will. Aunt Claire helped Grandma draft it. It's very clear. The room went silent. And while we're at it, I continued, there was also a savings bond. $30,000. Matured 3 years ago. Also left specifically to me. Also never mentioned. Dad stood up. Mackenzie, we can explain. Did you use it to buy Ryan's car? The silence was answer enough. We were going to pay you back, Mom said quickly. Ryan needed transportation for work, and we were going to replace it once we got back on our feet. It wasn't yours to borrow. It was mine. From Grandma. For my future, not Ryan's present. Ashley slipped the ring off her finger, suddenly very interested in the floor. Maybe I should... Yeah, I said. You should. She set it on the table. Small. Significant. Mine. Ryan's face was red. So what? You're going to ruin my proposal over some old ring? You're going to be that petty? Petty, I repeated. That's interesting coming from someone who's wearing a car I paid for and didn't know it. We're family, Mom said, and her voice was shaking. Family helps each other. We've always helped you. Name one time. We raised you, gave you a home. That's called being a parent. That's the baseline. Name one time you chose me over Ryan. One time you put my needs first. One time you protected something that was mine. Mom opened her mouth, closed it, looked at Dad. That's what I thought, I said softly. I picked up my grandmother's ring, held it in my palm. It was lighter than I remembered, or maybe I was just stronger than I'd been at 16. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen, I said. You're going to sell Ryan's car. You're going to use that money to pay me back the $30,000 you took. We can't just... Dad started. Yes, you can. And you will. Because if you don't, I'll file a claim against the estate. I'll make this legal and public and messy. I'll make sure everyone knows you stole from your own daughter to fund your son's lifestyle. Mackenzie, please, Mom whispered. Don't do this to the family. You did this to the family when you decided one child was worth more than the other, when you took what was mine and pretended it was community property, when you gave away my grandmother's wishes like they didn't matter. I put the ring in my pocket and picked up my bag. I'm not here to scream. I'm not here to argue. I'm here to give you a choice. Make this right, or I make it legal. You have 2 weeks. Ryan was crying now, the reality settling in. You're really going to make me give up my car? I'm really going to take back what's mine, what you should never have had in the first place. I walked to the door, turned back one last time. And Ryan? Get your own ring. Earn it, like the rest of us have to. The next 2 weeks were silent ones. No calls, no texts. I had my grandmother's ring resized, wore it on my right hand, the weight of it a reminder that some things are worth fighting for. On day 13, my phone rang. Dad, we sold the car, he said quietly. We have a check for you, $28,000. That's what we got for it. The bond was worth $30,000. I know. We'll make up the difference. It might take a few months. I want it in writing, a payment plan. Signed. Okay. And Dad? Yeah? I need you to understand something. I didn't do this to hurt Ryan. I did this because you taught me I don't matter. And I'm done learning that lesson. He was quiet for a long time. Then, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Kenz. We didn't mean to. Yes, you did. You meant to every single time you chose him. Every time you let him have what was mine because it was easier than telling him no. You meant to. You just didn't think I'd ever stand up for myself. Can you forgive us? I looked at my grandmother's ring, catching the light from my apartment window. Ask me in a year. After you've shown me you understand what you did wrong. After you've treated me like I'm worth the same as Ryan. Then maybe we can talk about forgiveness. I drove back 2 weeks later to get the check. Mom handed it to me in an envelope, wouldn't look at my face. Ryan wasn't there. Apparently he was staying at Ashley's parents' house. Ashley had gotten a different ring, a new one. They'd postponed the engagement. Are you happy now? Mom asked, and there was bitterness in her voice. You got what you wanted. You ruined everything. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw someone who still didn't understand. No, Mom. I got what was always mine. You ruined things when you decided to take it. I deposited the check that afternoon. $28,000 in my savings account, earning interest, waiting for my future. I wear my grandmother's ring every day now. People ask me about it sometimes, say it looks vintage, say it must have a story. It does, I tell them. It belonged to my grandmother and my great-grandmother before her. It's about legacy, about passing down what matters to the people who will cherish it. I don't tell them the rest, about the fight, about the betrayal, about the moment I realized that loving your family doesn't mean letting them take from you. That came later, in therapy, where I worked through the grief of realizing my parents would never see me the way I needed them to, where I learned that setting boundaries isn't cruelty, it's survival. Ryan called me 2 months later, drunk, crying. You destroyed my relationship. Ashley thinks I'm a spoiled brat now. Mom and Dad won't stop fighting. This is all your fault. No, I said calmly. This is consequence. There's a difference. I hate you. I know. But Ryan, someday you might understand that I saved you from becoming someone who thinks they're entitled to other people's inheritances, someone who thinks family means taking. I did you a favor. He hung up on me. 6 months after that, Mom called. Her voice was different, smaller. Your brother moved out. He and Ashley broke up. He's struggling. I'm sorry to hear that. Are you? There was challenge in it, like she was testing me. Yeah, Mom, I am. I never wanted Ryan to fail. I just wanted you to stop sacrificing me so he could float. She was quiet. Then, your father and I are going to counseling. The therapist said some things that made us realize we haven't been fair to you. Okay, can we see you? For coffee or something? Just talk? I looked at my calendar, at my full life in Chicago, my promotion, my friends, my apartment with the good light, the life I'd built by choosing myself. Maybe, I said, in a few months, when I'm ready. When you're ready, she repeated, and for the first time in my life, she didn't push. I'm still not sure if we'll get back what we lost. If there's a version of our family that includes both respect and love, boundaries and closeness. But I know this. I have my grandmother's ring. I have my inheritance. And I have myself no longer the daughter who accepted crumbs and called it fairness. I touch the ring sometimes and remember what Grandma said. This is yours, Mackenzie. She was right. Not just about the ring, about all of it.